To make money, I work online as a love consultant. I got a request from a deadpan boss.
What?
I'm the one chasing. I advised him, you two aren't meant to be. Her husband is someone else. Later, he cornered me and asked, honey, what does someone else mean? I'm Haley, a love consultant with a success rate of 95%. One day, a wealthy client offered $1 million for me to help him pursue a girl. He sent me a friend request code, and when I scanned it, I discovered it was my boss. Which unlucky person has caught his eye? I switched to another work computer and confirmed the Facebook account. Yes, it was the ever-grumpy deadpan guy, Peter. In shock, Peter sent me a private message on my video account. Have you added me yet? I snapped back to reality. Sorry, dear, the internet was acting up. Adding you now. I couldn't miss such a great opportunity to make money from my boss and get the gossip. After noting Peter as Big Buddy, I quickly sent the friend request. The chat box popped up instantly. Big Buddy, hello. So eager? I squinted. Hello. Could you describe your relationship with that lady? I'm her boss. We haven't talked much. What the heck? He's actually from our company. And it's a secret crush? My heart raced as I tried to suppress my excitement. What are her interests and personality like? Big Buddy, she's very nice, loves to laugh, and is very cute when she smiles. She doesn't like working and enjoys going off duty and eating. I burst into laughter. Who knew her boss could tell she didn't like work? That's a bit sad. Anything else? Big Buddy, I don't know much else. She's only been with the company for 3 months. She likes dogs. She has a little dog charm on her bag. My grin faded instantly. I slowly turned to look at the little dog charm on my bag. And considering she's only been with the company for 3 months, the unlucky person Peter likes, could it be me? Big Buddy, why aren't you responding? Is there a problem? I was instantly frantic. Of course there's a problem, a big problem. Even though Peter is handsome, tall, and wealthy, I have a huge aversion to office romances. Besides, this deadpan guy often criticizes people. Dating him? It sounds like a death wish. But because I'm greedy, I signed a contract when I took the job, agreeing to 24-hour availability and guaranteed success. And if I breached the contract, I'd have to pay double. Had I known the client was me, I would never have taken the job. This is a joke from heaven. How can you chase yourself? Why aren't you replying? Big Buddy was losing patience and was getting all businesslike. I snapped back to reality. Stay calm, stay calm. Maybe it's not me. Recently, a female colleague of mine, who joined the company around the same time, found that charm cute and asked me for the link. She now has one on her bag too. Maybe Peter is talking about her? I thought for a moment and decided to test the waters cautiously. Why do you like her? Big Buddy, does liking someone need a reason? Great answer. If this person wasn't suspiciously me, I'd be applauding him. I couldn't be too obvious with my probing, so I used a more direct approach. I typed through gritted teeth. Since you're practically strangers now, first naturally increase your interactions. At the same time, find out what she likes and anonymously surprise her. Once you're familiar, be straightforward. Take it slow. Big Buddy, what kind of surprise? For example, send her a unique bouquet. I couldn't sleep all night. At first light, I rushed to the office. Last night, I emphasized to Peter that the bouquet must be unique, to avoid making a mistake. But as soon as I stepped into the office, I was stunned. There were flowers on my desk. Every single desk had a bouquet. Even the men's desks had flowers. And damn it, each bouquet was different. Unique doesn't mean giving everyone a different one. What kind of Sea King operation is this? I looked at the bright red roses on my desk, shivering, then at another bouquet that seemed to be for a woman. It was daisies. The language of daisies is innocence, purity, and secret admiration. Both seem quite fitting. In my years of work, this was the most confusing client I've ever had. If I met him, I'd really want to shake his head and see if any sense would come out. Then I ran into Peter in the break room. In a perfectly tailored suit, tall and slender, just his silhouette was intimidating. Damn, doesn't his coffee usually get delivered by the secretary? Why is he out here? Naturally increase interactions flashed in my mind. What a self-inflicted disaster. I didn't have the guts to confront him, so I had to make a hasty retreat. But the next moment, that strikingly handsome, imposing cold face turned toward me. Caught off guard, our eyes met. I froze for a second, smiling. Mr. Peter, good morning. You're here for coffee too. Peter responded curtly, cleared a spot for me, and indicated that I should use it. I had no choice but to stiffen my resolve and stand next to him. The atmosphere was a bit awkward, mainly because I didn't know how to express my feelings when I realized Peter might like me. But until my coffee was ready, he didn't say a word. I was a bit puzzled. From Peter's consultation state, he seemed quite urgent. If it really is me, why wouldn't he say anything while I'm standing right here? Suddenly, a long, pale hand reached out and turned off the coffee machine. I looked up, and Peter's face was even colder than before. He pointed at my cup. It's full. I thanked him repeatedly, more confused than ever. Is this how someone acts when they like you? In the end, I smiled and bid Peter farewell with my coffee. He gave a faint nod, and this time, there were no words. I was completely relieved. Who would be this cold to their crush? Yes, it definitely isn't me. Humming a tune, I returned to my desk, and as soon as I picked up my backup phone, I was in a cold sweat. Peter had sent several messages. Big buddy, I just ran into her in the break room. She seemed to have had a rough night. Her dark circles were quite noticeable. Should I send her something to help her feel better? I struggled to suppress the terrified scream rising in my throat, and I kept telling myself to stay calm. Stay calm. Maybe there's another girl who didn't sleep well and crossed paths with him while I wasn't around. I refused to believe it. Did you send the flowers? Big buddy, yes. What kind did you send? Red roses. The last bit of hope was shattered. It really is me. Before I had time to process this awful news, he sent several more messages. To avoid any rumors, I sent flowers to everyone in the company. Each bouquet is different. I'm surprised you, as a consultant, didn't think of this. It makes me question your professional skills. Please be more careful. I don't want my affection to cause her any trouble. I was stunned, not expecting Peter to say something so complex. After a moment of mixed emotions, I was furious. Doubting my professional skills? Unacceptable. If it weren't for testing, I wouldn't have suggested that lame anonymous flower idea. A 95% success rate isn't for nothing. But I couldn't really show him my true skills. Am I supposed to teach him how to chase after me? As I was about to lose my mind, Peter asked again, should I send her something to show my feelings? Don't send anything. I typed through gritted teeth. You won't have any results. Peter, how can you make such a conclusion without knowing our situation? Do I need to know the situation? I'm clear about it. Desperately thinking of a reason, suddenly, a brilliant idea struck me. I just did a fortune telling, and you and this woman are not compatible. Peter, you, a consultant, know about fortune telling? Of course. Emotions are mysterious things. You and this woman don't have fate together. Give up. No matter what you do, she's destined not to have any feelings for you. Peter scoffed, just trying to trick me. Keep tricking. I snorted and decided to pull out the big guns. Don't believe me? My divine insight tells me that your bouquet of roses has already been thrown away. Do you want to go check for yourself? After sending that, I quickly tossed the roses into the trash bin. Not long after, Peter passed by like a ghost. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him staring at the trash bin for a moment. I peeked at his departing back. He was flustered, he believed it, and he took a wrong turn. After pretending to work for 2 hours, I figured it was about time and messaged Peter. How's it going? Confirmed it, right? Big buddy replied instantly. You're guessing. I don't believe it. How could she not like me? Looks like the workaholic is really struggling. I typed with a smirk. Buddy, don't struggle. No matter how hard you try, it's all in vain. Thinking for a moment, I added, actually, that girl isn't as great as you think. Let's find someone else for you to pursue. My services are free. Big buddy, what's with your blind eyes? She's great, okay? I blushed and then had a headache. Why is this guy so stubborn? What does he see in me? Dude, you've only known her for 3 months. How can you be so in love already? Are you faking it? Peter replied with a laugh. Aren't you the one who knows fortune telling? Didn't you figure out that I've known her for more than 3 months? Huh, more than 3 months? How come I don't remember that? I was left scratching my head, and I couldn't just ask directly. Then I had another bright idea. No, I can't ask from my secondary account, but I can from my primary one. I took on a task to deliver something to his office and knocked on the door. Come in. Mr. Peter, here are the documents you requested. Peter stared at the documents, not even glancing at me, and coldly said, I remembered his active presence on Facebook and grimaced. Thick eyebrows and big eyes with 2 faces. With this attitude, he'll stay single forever. After a few seconds, Peter suddenly looked up, his brows furrowing tightly. Is there anything else? Weighing my options, curiosity won out. I gave a mix of surprise, curiosity, and innocence. Mr. Peter, you look familiar. Have we met before? Peter's pupils narrowed, then he coldly replied with 2 words. No. I was dumbfounded, even involuntarily saying, out loud. Peter, slightly cold, is there anything else? No, nothing else. I left Peter's office, dazed. This guy's thought process is toxic. Why wouldn't he just say if we've met before? He couldn't possibly be the beggar I gave change to before, feeling embarrassed that a high-profile CEO once helped a beggar, right? No way. When I went home, I still sneaked a glance at that corner. The beggar was still kneeling there, and seeing no one around, he pulled out his iPhone 13 Pro and started scrolling through Douyin. In an instant, I felt like I must have been assimilated by Peter's bizarre mind. Forget it. It doesn't matter when we met. Anyway, Peter didn't show any special signs when he saw me. After work, I wouldn't run into him. As long as I keep things cold for a few months, he'll naturally move on. Men, I know them well enough. Peter, perhaps deeply hurt, didn't bother me with the consultation. But after several tense days, when my dog's leash ended up around Peter, I was completely caught off guard. Wasn't I supposed to not run into him after work? Was my mouth enchanted? Half an hour ago, I was walking my dog. Suddenly, my dog went berserk, breaking free from the leash and darting ahead. I was too exhausted to chase, so I threw the leash, trying to lasso the dog's head like a cowboy. Unfortunately, I missed the dog's head and ended up hitting Peter instead. Peter seemed to be out for a night jog. He had changed from his suit into sportswear, and his broad shoulders and long legs were even more pronounced. And now my silly dog was running in circles around him, making his usually cold demeanor feel less imposing. But I had no time to admire the handsome man. I forced a smile. "Mr. Peter, I'm so sorry. Let me get that off you." Peter patted the dog's head as it jumped around him. "It's fine." He then glanced at me with a focused expression. Quite cute. Was he talking about the dog or me? I could only awkwardly smile. From the moment I ran into Peter, I started feeling uneasy. After some casual chit-chat, I used the excuse of going home to say goodbye. I thought Peter would respond with a sound like during the day. But then, unexpectedly, Peter lifted his gaze and said softly, "I'll give you a ride." Me? Why is this guy going off script? I repeatedly declined. No, it's really not necessary. It's too much trouble. Peter's face remained impassive. Where do you live? New View Garden. It's no trouble. It's on the way. On the way, my foot. Does he think I don't know his tactics? He even deftly put the leash back on the dog. I'll walk the dog for you, so it doesn't run off again. In the end, with the dog's enthusiastic approval, I walked alongside Peter on the way home. At that moment, I realized Peter was a head taller than me. Peter held the dog with one hand and typed on his phone with the other. For some reason, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. He was probably dealing with some company affairs. While I was thinking, Peter suddenly turned his face, and I hurriedly looked away. Peter's deep voice broke the silence. "What's your dog's name?" I was caught off guard, feeling a bit awkward. "His name is Charlie." Charlie responded with an excited bark. I started regretting choosing that name. It felt a bit embarrassing. An old saying goes that giving a dog a bad name makes it easier to care for. Ha! After a moment, Peter laughed. "It's a good name. It sounds very healthy." In that instant, it felt like ice melting and everything coming back to life. It was the first time I saw him smile in the standard sense, and I realized that a man's smile could be truly stunning. Oh my, I felt a bit moved in an instant. Seeing me staring at him, Peter's face instantly returned to its usual cold state. "What's wrong?" I didn't know how to respond when suddenly, it started pouring rain. In an instant, torrential rain fell. After running back to the apartment with Peter, he handed the dog leash back to me. "Mr. Peter, you should head back. It's been a long day." But Peter bent down and patted the wet dog's head, his eyes gentle. Compared to people, he clearly seemed to like dogs more. With the rain so heavy outside, I should come in and wait it out. I opened my mouth, looked at the torrential rain, and realized there was no way to send him away. When I opened the door, I was embarrassed. The whole place was a mess, and leftover instant noodles from dinner were still on the table. Seeing Peter staring at the bowl of noodles, I laughed awkwardly. "Sorry, the place is a bit messy. I'll get you a towel right away." Hurrying to the bedroom, I noticed my spare phone flashing and picked it up, stunned. It was all messages from Peter. "Didn't you say we weren't fated? Then how come we run into each other while walking? We're even walking the dog home together. She's actually quite cute privately, and the dog is too." There were a bunch of flattering messages, mostly praising me. The last one was from just a moment ago. "I'm at her place now. What should I do?" Oh, damn. At this point, he's come to my home. Normally, I would advise clients to seize the opportunity. Since it's come this far, might as well push the spring water. But now, this is happening in my own home. And it's a bit troubling because Peter's flattery made me feel lightheaded. I didn't expect him to have this side despite his cold demeanor. Kind of cute. Realizing this, I shook my head vigorously. "Haley, what are you thinking?" quickly go out, and when the rain lessens, let Peter leave. But just as I was about to head out, Peter sent another message. The words, double compensation, sharply pierced my eyes. Dude, what's going on? Can't we talk this out? Peter, cold and ruthless. Since last Thursday, you've been neglecting my consultations, and now you're not responding at all. This is a serious breach of contract. I shivered, feeling the pressure even through the screen. This was Peter in full work mode. Most importantly, your intermittent negative comments have seriously affected my mood, so the focus is here. I quickly offered a forced smile. Bro, I didn't mean to ignore you. I just forgot my phone. It doesn't make much difference. You haven't given any effective advice anyway, so what's the point? I was stunned. With the hefty compensation looming, I decided to use some dirty tricks. Brother, I'll give you a useful tip immediately. It's absolutely effective. Oh. I could almost picture Peter raising his eyebrows slightly. Let's hear it. If it's not useful, next time you'll be talking directly with my lawyer. I took a deep breath, gritting my teeth. If that's the case, don't blame me for being ruthless. Take off your clothes. She likes that. Big buddy, what? Big buddy, are you alright? Will this not make me look like a pervert? I took a deep breath. No, it won't. Just the top is fine. I've seen it with my heavenly eyes. Women all like this kind of plot. Seeing your strong body, they'll definitely be drooling and unable to move. Big buddy, your wording is too. I think she's not that kind of person. I sneered. I've given you the advice. If you don't do it, you can't blame me. That's right, this is my purpose. Judging from Peter's previous performance, this person's quality is still good. He must not adopt this kind of advice. If he doesn't do it, the blame is not on me, and I won't go to jail. Clever me. I happily changed my clothes, took a towel, and returned to the living room. Seeing the situation in front of me, I was stunned on the spot. Peter's top was gone. He actually really took it off. I swallowed my saliva secretly. His figure is really a perfect inverted triangle. The 8 abdominal muscles are clearly exposed. Every line that should have, all have. He really has the capital to seduce me. But what shocked me more was, Peter's sports black t-shirt was being held in Charlie's mouth. At this time, Charlie seemed to be playing with the clothes like a lion dance. I looked at Peter and then at the dog. Peter looked at the dog and then at me. He was silent for a while, pointing at the joyful dog and said, my clothes were bitten off by him. Charlie stopped instantly, looking at Peter with an obvious and unbelievable look. Me, bullying the dog can't speak, right? Really? Peter said it one word at a time. His ears gradually turned a little red. It was him. Wong 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 wong. Charlie threw away the t-shirt and barked at me aggrievedly. I decided to sacrifice Charlie in an instant, gave it a kick on the butt, picked up the t-shirt and said, So it was like this. I was not good at teaching the dog. I'm really sorry, boss. You can use this bath towel to cover it first. I'll help you wash this t-shirt. Peter looked relieved, nodded, and took the bath towel. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, he sucked his stomach again, and the outline of the abdominal muscles was more obvious. According to my previous bold words, should I quietly touch it to show effectiveness? Thinking about it, I really touched it quietly. Wow, the touch is really good. There are also abdominal muscles to touch, not all bad things. Feeling Peter's body suddenly stiffen, I pretended not to notice and rushed to the bathroom. The spare machine vibrated again. Big buddy. She touched me. My backup phone buzzed incessantly, and Peter continued to express his shock. Seeing the crisis averted, I hummed lightly. So, how about that? Realize my skill now? Big buddy calmed down in an instant. Just a lucky guess. Don't get too smug. I have something I've been thinking about for a long time. If you can help me with this, I'll reluctantly acknowledge your ability. I felt a pang of anxiety. Something he's been thinking about for a long time? It wouldn't be some excessive request just because he thinks I'm super capable, would it? I'm in the business of performing, not selling myself. Big buddy, I don't want to be called Peter Boss anymore. How can I get her to call me by my name? Just privately. I was taken aback. Just like that? So innocent? Sorry, it seems I've been thinking too dirty. Peter, looking extremely nervous, said, hurry up, she'll be back soon. I replied, this is simple. You just need to say it directly. Big buddy, directly? Won't that scare her away? It won't. If it does scare her off, I'll double the refund. Alright, you said it. Returning to the living room with the quickly washed and dried t-shirt, Peter turned around abruptly, looking somewhat nervous. I pretended not to notice. Peter boss, here's your shirt. Thank you. Peter took it, and his movement to put it on was slightly stiff. The atmosphere fell into a delicate awkwardness, and I encouraged Peter in my mind. Come on, just say it. Peter took a deep breath and said with a serious tone, from now on, don't call me Peter Boss in private. Just call me by my name. I responded immediately, all right, Peter. Peter's movement paused, his ears turning bright red, and he replied, I was completely caught off guard by the impact, my heart racing to 180. Wow, how can he be so cute? Peter sat for a while, and I saw him, unable to resist, preparing to send another message. I was really anxious. He even dared to follow my order to take off his clothes just now, and he even brought up calling names. If Peter makes any more unreasonable demands, should I comply or not? I glanced outside, saw the rain easing, and handed him an umbrella. Peter, the rain is about to stop. You should head back soon. Peter looked out the window and nodded. Seeing Big Buddy leave obediently, I sighed in relief. After a while, I received a text from Big Buddy. You really have some skill. Now do you believe me? For now, yes. I quickly jumped in. Since you believe me, I have to say something. It's not that I'm trying to ruin your mood, but you and this girl, it's really not meant to be. If you don't give up directly, yes, it's better for everyone. Big Buddy, it's only better for you. I'm not giving up. Instead of spending all day trying to convince me to give up and be lazy, you might as well think about how to help me change my fate. I felt a pang of frustration, collapsing on the couch, rolling around in annoyance. Even if he acknowledges my supernatural abilities, he still won't give up. What have I done to make him like me so much? Could it be that in a past life I was Tang Sang and he was a monster? I'm now stuck in a difficult situation. Pretending it's not working, he wants a lawyer's warning. Pretending it works, Peter really thinks there's a chance, and he's all fired up. Why not just agree to give it a try? Actually, Peter is quite cute when he's not in work mode. I started to entertain this thought, but quickly stopped myself. No, Haley, have you forgotten the previous lessons? It was a normal relationship, but after a coworker found out, the scumbag turned it around and labeled me as seducing the boss. Everyone in the company turned against me with cold sarcasm and made life difficult to the point of almost driving me to depression. In the end, I was forced to resign and had trouble finding a new job. This job was also hard to come by. If it weren't for Charlie, I wouldn't have made it. Before being caught, my ex-boyfriend seemed nearly perfect. Thinking about it, my resolve hardened again. No, I must stick to my policy. I have to shift the blame onto Peter and make a clean getaway. So, I'll be even more excessive. Alright, Peter, you forced me into this. I refuse to believe this man can't even reach the stars. However, after a few more attempts, I became numb. Peter's bottom line was really too low. He'd do whatever unreasonable thing I asked. The company's meals improved, and lunchtime was extended by half an hour. Overtime disappeared, and even my personal leave was approved by this deadpan face. I was astonished. Now, not only was Peter not slowing down, but he had also successfully figured out almost all of my preferences. How is this going to end? It must be that the conditions I set weren't outrageous enough. Big Buddy, the movie she wanted to see before is coming out. How can I invite her to go see it with me? Oh no. It's progressing too fast. He's even thinking of asking me out on a date. I took a deep breath and decided to go big. This is a bit tricky. First, you have to invite her in person at her neighborhood. Second, it must be amidst a sea of flowers. Big Buddy? Her home? A sea of flowers? I looked at the bare branches outside the window. Yes, the entire neighborhood. Trees and soil must be covered in flowers, and they must be naturally grown integrated flower trees. Otherwise, the atmosphere won't be right, and she'll refuse your invitation. Big Buddy, but it's November now. Where can you find trees full of flowers? The more impossible, the better. I gloated. Brother, you two are fated to clash. To succeed, you need some extraordinary methods. Big Buddy, it was just incompatible before, but now it's a clash. Are you joking with me? Of course not. Have I ever deceived you? I typed passionately. If it really doesn't work, we can discuss it again next spring. Peter didn't reply, clearly stumped. I went to bed with a satisfied smile, convinced I could handle this fool. But a few days later, I was wrong. Returning to the neighborhood, I was stunned by the entire expanse of pink. The neighborhood was bustling, and even reporters had come to cover this off-season spectacle. I ran to the largest tree to take a closer look, and indeed, it was a naturally grown tree that had been transplanted. Moreover, all the trees in the neighborhood had been replaced. Is Peter stupid? How much manpower, resources, and money did this take? Was it worth it? Does he like me this much? Suddenly, my heart felt both sour and swollen. It was impossible not to be touched. Looking around, I spotted Peter in the crowd. He was frowning slightly, as if searching for someone. Suddenly, our eyes met, and Peter's brows relaxed instantly, waving his hand. The tall and serene man walked towards me amidst the fluttering petals. The scene was beautiful, like a romantic drama. If he hadn't taken a sudden turn, it would have been even more perfect. He looked evidently nervous, making me want to cheer him on. Peter followed the procedure and invited me out. At the moment I accepted, Peter might not have realized how bright his eyes were. It was quite a complex feeling. However, before I could ponder it too long, another text came in. Big buddy, she accepted. I'm going to watch the movie with her. I replied bitterly, congratulations, congratulations. Could I have said no? His lawyer had already called me. In the next moment, I felt as if struck by lightning. This Saturday, clear your schedule to answer my questions in real time to avoid any mistakes. Running 2 things under his nose? Maybe you should just kill me. Big buddy, what's up? Didn't you say our zodiac signs clash and need extra caution? I told you to monitor the situation the whole time. Is there a problem? I happen to have something that day. Big buddy. Oh, you have something, huh? Alright then. I didn't relax, and Peter spoke again. Then let my lawyer talk to you next. My lawyer has never lost a case. I gritted my teeth. No, I'll just do as instructed. Oh, heavens. If Peter finds out that I'm the one who's been playing games with him, I'll be in big trouble. I absolutely must not expose myself. This situation has left me unable to eat or sleep, while Peter is just too happy. What should I wear? Can you figure out her favorite style, preferably down to the color and style? Will the color and type of the car have an impact? Should I style my hair? If I'm asking her out as a friend, should I avoid giving flowers? But I really want to. Should I bribe a florist to set it up? I was on the verge of a breakdown. Dude, can you relax? Are you going to ask me about every step on the day of the date too? Do you want me to figure out which foot is luckier for you to step out with tomorrow? Big buddy. Well, that's not out of the question. You can calculate it now. Me? The night before the movie, I was sleepless. The next day, looking at the large dark circles under my eyes, I sighed deeply. God, when will this farce end? When I saw Peter, I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He was so nervous before that I worried he might go overboard. But even in a simple trench coat, he still looked handsome. All the way, I was highly tense, afraid Peter might suddenly get an idea and jolt me. However, up until we were waiting for the movie to start, my phone stayed silent. So is he planning to handle it on his own? Just as I was relaxing, Peter picked up his phone. My alert bells rang, and sure enough, my phone vibrated. Big buddy, we haven't spoken for 3 minutes. Does she think I'm boring? Quick, help me come up with a topic. Glancing at Peter's expressionless face, I couldn't help but chuckle. What a stark contrast. Peter suddenly looked up and glanced at my phone. What's wrong? Nothing. That was close. Almost blew my cover. I quickly pulled my phone in, and Peter nodded, not asking further. A new message popped up. She seems to be chatting with someone else and is quite happy. Am I too boring? Oh my. It's like seeing a droopy little puppy. My heart melted with cuteness, and then it hit me. As long as I keep talking to Peter, he won't have time to send messages. That would greatly reduce the risk of exposure. So, I kept talking until the movie started. Finally, it was movie time, and I breathed a sigh of relief. During the movie, Peter shouldn't be sending me messages for help. I closed my eyes, planning to pretend to be asleep. But perhaps due to the mental strain, I suddenly fell asleep. I even had a dream. In the dream, he looked at me with a chilling gaze. In this world, no one can play me like this. Throw her into the river. No. I woke up with a start, seeing the movie screen, and sighed in relief. Thank goodness, it was just a dream. Turning my head, my heart stopped. Peter was holding my phone. The spare phone. It was still flashing, with his Facebook profile picture on it, and the Big Buddy contact name was prominently displayed. Peter and I locked eyes for 2 seconds before he whispered, "Your phone kept ringing. I tried to turn it off for you, so..." Thank you. I was frozen, forcing a nervous smile. Oh God, someone tell me what to do. I hadn't done anything. The situation was so awkward that after Peter returned the spare phone, I ran away. I felt that if I stayed any longer, Peter would drag me off to the river. I took a glance at the chat history. While I was asleep, Peter sent many messages. She's asleep. What should I do? Should I let her lean on my shoulder? Would that be crossing the line? Where are you? The messages grew increasingly frustrated, and in the end, he must have reached his limit and made a voice call. Unexpectedly, it rang on my phone. I was completely stunned. I couldn't imagine Peter's reaction and feelings upon discovering that I was the one playing tricks on him. Would he be very disappointed? Or does he want to kill me to keep it quiet? What's worse, it seems I've let him down. I even felt a vague, indescribable pain in my heart. The past painful experiences seemed to be repeating themselves. I didn't want to go through all of this again. So, I transferred the consultation fee back to Peter's account overnight and wrote my resignation letter. With the previous experience, this time I decided to leave on my own. After submitting my resignation, I opened the chat with Peter. No matter what, I had to apologize. As I was considering how to phrase it, the chat status changed to a typing. Peter, come to my office tomorrow. My heart tightened. Was he so angry that he was going to throw me into the river or humiliate me in front of the entire company? The next day, trembling with fear, I arrived at Peter's office and took a deep breath before knocking on the door. Come in. As soon as I entered, I gave a deep 90-degree bow. I'm so sorry. I really am sorry. Mr. Peter, it wasn't intentional. I just felt too awkward and didn't know what to do. I will resign on my own. You can do whatever you want. Even if you want compensation, I will repay it slowly. Just please don't sue me. After saying all this in one breath, I was a bit out of breath. Peter's deep voice came through. Sit down and talk. With his usual stern expression, it was hard to tell if he was happy or angry. I sat down like a student being reprimanded. You don't need to resign. Our company has a good outlook and aligns well with your profession. Don't joke about your future. Huh? I was somewhat surprised. You're not angry? Peter's tone was very calm. I have nothing to be angry about. Even if I were angry, I wouldn't do anything to you. Besides, I'm just a bit surprised. Upon reflection, if our roles were reversed, I might have done the same as you. Peter's eyelashes lowered slightly. I've put so much pressure on you during this time. You must have been very scared. I'm sorry. I felt a lump in my throat. No, I should be the one apologizing. Why is he so nice? I really feel guilty. Haley. I straightened my back. I'm here. In my memory, this seemed to be the first time Peter called me by my name. Peter looked at me, his ears slightly flushed, his gaze sincere and earnest. For me, knowing that both accounts belong to you, my greatest feeling is relief. I'm glad there isn't a real zodiac incompatibility or a predetermined mismatch. Peter's eyes were bright, making my heart feel warm. You should know my feelings for you, right? How do you feel about me? I was very touched, truly touched. But I still gave Peter a deep bow and refused him. Peter was really different from my ex. I knew that very well. He was genuinely respectful and liked me very much. I thought I might also be a bit moved by Peter, but my ex had given me some PTSD. After hearing my repeated apologies, Peter didn't show any dramatic change, only nodded. Rejection is your inherent right, and you don't need to apologize for it. Oh my God, he's so great. This made me feel even more guilty. I bowed deeply with gratitude. Boss, I will definitely work hard for the company to repay you. Peter smiled wryly and didn't say anything. I thought our relationship would return to the normal superior-subordinate dynamic. But the next day, Thursday, the whole company suddenly received KFC Crazy Thursday meals, and it was labeled as a reward from the boss. Colleagues marveled. Wow, what's up with the boss today? He's in such a good mood. Looking at the chicken on my desk, I felt a bit uneasy. Could it be because I had just repeated the Crazy Thursday promo text? The chicken smelled good, but I didn't dare eat it and went to knock on Peter's door. I said, ahem, boss, are you there? About the KFC. The best boss in the world. What's the matter? Don't you want to eat it? Wow, so it really was because of me. No, boss, although it's a bit awkward to mention, I rejected you. The best boss in the world. I know. But there's no rule that says being rejected means you can't continue pursuing, right? I was stunned. Peter explained clearly, rejection is your right, but pursuing is my right, isn't it? I won't let anyone at the company find out, nor will I get you involved in any trouble. Can you please give me the right to continue pursuing you? At this point, I really found it difficult to refuse. I originally thought Peter would not give up until he hit a wall, but now I realized he wouldn't stop even if he did hit one. Why? Why me? I remembered Peter had mentioned knowing each other for more than 3 months and asked him about it. But Peter just smiled without speaking. This is something only my girlfriend would know. Huh, is he playing hard to get? Oh well, maybe after a few more attempts, he'll give up. During our usual time at the company, things seemed no different. I worked even harder out of guilt. Each time we had overtime, the company would occasionally provide some small treats. Sometimes it was milk tea, sometimes something else. Privately, my home would sometimes receive deliveries, mostly small toys for Charlie and flowers for me. They were not expensive, so it didn't put me in a difficult position. I transferred the money to Peter. Thank you for your trouble. Peter refused. It's only right to put in some effort when pursuing someone you like. I blushed. What's up with him? Ever since I exposed my true self, he has been straightforward like a released seal, throwing all the direct lines at me that he used to use with the other account. And this small amount of money doesn't mean much to me. You don't need to feel pressured. Me? Are you trying to flaunt your wealth? Peter? Yeah. The evil capitalist might need a proletarian hero to tame them. Want to try being a hero for the people? I backed off. Peter's sweet talk was getting smoother, and I was finding it hard to handle, but his approach was so clumsy and lacked any cunning. After another round of afternoon tea, a colleague suddenly gossiped, "Has Peter been in a relationship recently?" I noticed too. He's been smiling. He must be in love. Wow, so Peter isn't a stone-cold guy. Makes me want to give it a try. After hearing this, I felt a tightness in my chest, so I got up to get some water, and ran into Peter's assistant. "Oh, Miss Haley, wait a moment." Assistant Jack stopped me. "After work, take these documents to Peter's house for him to sign and then bring them back." Going to Peter's house? Just as I was saying Peter was clumsy, he pulls this move. The assistant smiled bitterly. "I don't want to trouble you, but the boss has a high fever and I'm swamped with work. I can't handle it all." I was stunned. "He's sick? But I received a message from him this morning. Why didn't he tell me? Doesn't he know that being sick easily triggers a girl's nurturing instincts? He really doesn't know how to play the game. And since you and Peter live in the same neighborhood, it's just on the way. If you don't want to deliver it, you can find someone else." With that, he hurriedly left. Me? He really does live in my neighborhood? Looking at the address, I was silent for a long time and ultimately decided not to find someone else. It's not right to trouble others. Besides, Peter has taken such good care of me, so I should go and see him. It's just some social obligation, definitely not because I really want to see him. Seeing the stack of files, I felt a bit of sympathy for Peter. Good grief, it's like a mountain. Being a boss isn't easy. Peter's house is indeed in the same neighborhood as mine, but in a different section. A street apart, and the property prices are several times higher. What a world. I rang the doorbell, and Peter opened the door. "Why did you take so long?" "Those documents." Upon seeing me, his words faltered, and his expression became confused. Why are you here?" He was wearing home clothes, his face was pale, and his hair was unkempt, looking utterly frail. I cleared my throat. "Jack, the assistant, is a bit busy, so he asked me to deliver these." Cough, cough, cough. You can come in and wait for me a moment." Peter coughed a few times, his eyes a bit red, and hurriedly took out a pair of brand new women's slippers from the shoe rack. I looked at the pink bunny slippers, and tentatively stepped into them. The size fit perfectly. How did he know my shoe size? A warm feeling spread through me as I slowly walked inside. I then saw Peter hurrying out of a room. He had changed into regular clothes, and was wearing a mask. "I'm not fully recovered yet, afraid of infecting you." Why wasn't he wearing it earlier? Was Jack the assistant immune to the infection? I persuaded him for a long time, but Peter refused to take off the mask. In the end, I had to watch him sign the mountain of documents while wearing the mask and strictly maintaining his distance. His breathing grew heavier, and his document flipping slowed down. Will this really work? Is he going to collapse here? "Peter, why don't you rest for a while? The documents can wait." Peter looked up, his eyes foggy, and tilted his head slightly. Feeling something was off, I quickly went over and touched his forehead. Peter didn't pull away. When I approached, he even leaned his head forward to make it easier for me to touch. It's burning up. Why is he torturing himself like this while still sick? I lifted Peter up with great effort and moved him back to the bedroom, then quickly got a damp towel to help lower his temperature. Fortunately, his medicine was right there, so I didn't have to search everywhere. "Peter, wake up and take this medicine." Peter opened his foggy eyes and struggled to recognize me for a moment. "Hi, Haley." Yes, it's me. "You're finally awake. Take the medicine." Peter didn't move, his eyes still foggy, and then he gave a silly smile. "You're so cute." My face turned red. "Brother, this fever is truly a double whammy." I helped Peter sit up and take his medicine, and he cooperated perfectly, being exceptionally well behaved. After he finished drinking, I instinctively touched his forehead. "Good boy." Peter's smile grew wider, like a big kid who got his favorite toy. After he finished the water, I planned to get another cup. Just as I stood up, Peter's hand suddenly grabbed my wrist, his dark eyes fixed on me, his palm burning hot. "Can't you stay a little longer?" I was at a loss. Peter's current state really made it impossible for me to refuse. Seeing me nod, Peter smiled in satisfaction. Am I dreaming right now? I rarely see Peter like this, so I teased him. Yes. Is that so? Peter looked at me with a sudden trace of melancholy. At least, in this dream. Could you promise to be my girlfriend? I looked at Peter for a long time. Finally, I nodded. Okay. Peter smiled again. Thank you. Then he closed his eyes and fell asleep. Me? I finally agreed. And now he's not going to do anything? He really doesn't know how to play this. It's rare that I genuinely agreed. I could see Peter's sincerity towards me, and today, I finally saw my own feelings clearly. It's a shame to let true feelings be obstructed by someone else's mistakes. If it's Peter, I'm willing to use a bit of courage and give it a try with him. With Peter holding my hand, I couldn't move and was bored, so I had no choice but to boldly observe his master bedroom. There was a photo on his desk. I focused on it and saw a grassy field with a girl and a dog happily smiling. The girl and the dog looked somewhat familiar. It seemed to be me and Charlie. I gently released Peter's hand and walked over to confirm. The attire in the photo was from about a year ago, so he had seen me before. When he recovers, I need to ask him about this. Peter woke up 3 hours later. You're awake. Peter looked at me, somewhat disoriented. How long did I sleep? After checking the time, he sighed deeply. Sorry for causing you trouble. I smiled. No need to be so polite. If you feel sorry, why not explain this photo? Seeing the photo frame, Peter's pupils constricted, and he glanced at the desk. After a while, he sighed. Charlie was my dog. Charlie wasn't originally named Charlie. It had a very fancy name, Robin. Hearing this, my mouth twitched. No wonder Charlie's expression seemed so disdainful when I called it Charlie at first. A few months ago, Charlie went missing from Peter's home. Peter put up posters everywhere but couldn't find it. Eventually, he was informed by a pet store that it had been found. But at that time, Charlie was already with me. Peter came over upon hearing the news, intending to discuss the dog issue with me, but upon seeing my poor condition, he realized taking the dog away might worsen my situation. So he decided to wait and observe from the shadows. In the end, he developed feelings for me. He gave up the dog and fell for me instead. What happened afterward, you already know. You joined my company. I paused. During the time I found Charlie, it was when I was being wronged and severely injured. If Peter had taken him away, I don't know if I could have gotten through it. Then why didn't you tell me before? I should actually thank you. Peter was silent for a long time. I thought you might not want to be reminded of bad memories. And observing from the shadows felt a bit creepy. I was afraid you would be even less willing to be with me if you knew. Holding the photo, I shrugged. Well, this is a bit troublesome now. I've already agreed to you, so it seems a bit unethical to back out so quickly. Peter looked shocked. When? You agreed? A few hours ago. Really? You're not kidding. Haley, say it again. The girl's smiling face in the photo, along with the present moment, seemed to reflect each other. Sometimes, perhaps there's truly fate, and people are closely connected even before they realize it. Since the last time we watched a movie, I had fallen asleep. Peter was so nervous that he didn't get to watch properly. So we decided to go again as our first official date after being together. Peter was still a bit nervous. Walking side by side, I could clearly feel him wanting to hold my hand several times, but every time he was about to touch, he would pull back. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore and took his hand. Brother, you really don't know how to do this. At times like this, you should just grab the hand directly. That's how you make a girl's heart race, okay? Looking up, Peter's face turned slightly red as he nodded slowly. You can teach me more in the future. I'll learn. His appearance directly hit my soft spot. It also sparked some teasing thoughts. TSK, just holding hands and you're blushing like this? I lowered my voice and leaned close to his ear. If we did something else in the future, how would that be? In an instant, Peter's body tensed, and I couldn't stop smiling. But the next moment, I felt a soft touch on my face. Peter's ears seemed to be bleeding from embarrassment. I can do other things too. I felt the redness on his ears spreading to my own face. Fortunately, I didn't miss out on him because of fear. Otherwise, I wouldn't have experienced this kind of happiness now. The phrase, too much joy turns to sorrow, is no joke. Turning a corner, we ran into a colleague. Peter, Haley. The colleagues' eyes nearly fell out of their sockets. Their gaze fell down and saw our intertwined hands, and they gasped. You too. The scene replayed, and in an instant, I was frozen. But the next moment, my hand was gently squeezed, and Peter said softly, yes, we're dating. I worked hard to win her over, and I don't want this to spread in the company just yet. Can you please help us keep it a secret? The young girl nodded vigorously, looking as starstruck. Why yes, I can do that. Unlike when she faced me, Peter was calm and composed throughout, impressively reliable. He solved everything without me having to say a word. History won't repeat itself. After the colleague left, I looked at Peter. Mr. CEO, being my secret lover, is that difficult? Not difficult at all. I can wait until we have a red book and the day we go public. Peter tightened his hold on my hand and smiled softly, brighter than the sun.